What was your initial response when you saw that Colin Kaepernick sat for the national anthem?
I'll be completely honest, my initial response was anger, you know? I was angry and disappointed because I grew up a Niner fan and I was pulling for this guy. And now he just pissed on my flag. But then I just stopped making all these judgments and tried to listen to what he's talking about.
Specifically, it's police brutality.
And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I want to try to understand where he's coming from, at least somewhat, because I haven't walked around in his shoes, but he hasn't walked around in my boots. You know what I mean? So I just wrote a letter and he got a hold of it.
He contacted you?
Yeah, he contacted me. He said he was inspired by it and he was wanting to sit down with me, you know, just have a discussion. First thing he said when we met was, hey, I just want you to know I appreciate your service more than anything. I expressed to him, maybe there's a different way to demonstrate where you're showing more respect for those that lay down their lives for what that flag and anthem stands for. I suggested, you know, kneeling, because people kneel to pray. You know, we'll kneel in front of a fallen brother's grave. You know, to show respect. He said, I think that would be really powerful.
Colin Kaepernick choosing not to sit on the bench this time, but to take a knee.
The fact that he was willing to listen and go to a knee versus sitting, I thought was huge. That's an important step that he's taken. I think other people need to take a step too and maybe listen to him.
Cops are getting paid leave for killing people and not being held accountable. That's not right.
I respect those men and women in uniform, but the ones that aren't doing it the right way, we need to correct it. We need to fix it. He's right about that.
People of color have been targeted by police.
It is an issue, and we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go.
I think as a service member, it's more upsetting for me to come back from fighting for my country overseas to see how divided we are and how angry we are at each other.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners say, get that son of a bitch off the field?
I'm more hurt by that than somebody sitting down during the anthem.
At this point, I'm just like, Mr. President, let's be presidential now and reach across to people that you don't agree with and you think are wrong and just say, you know what, let me hear you out.
If we have these real conversations that are uncomfortable for a lot of people, it's something that can unify this country.
And maybe we can come to some kind of agreement, solution, and understand that we're really not that different. We probably want the same things at the end of the day.
Hallelujah.
So that's Matt Orfalea made that video. I did not know that. That is shocking. So I just want to say that when a draft dodger like President Trump, who also insulted American POWs, tries to pretend that someone else is being less patriotic than he is, you know he's full of shit. And you know now for definitely he's full of shit, because that's a Green Beret who told Colin Kaepernick to take a knee out of respect. And Donald Trump, who doesn't know the first thing about respect, and Mike Pence, who doesn't know anything about anything, those guys are clowns, all right? These are real deal. That's a Green Beret. That's Colin Kaepernick, who's putting his entire career on the line. He's 29 years old when he put his career on the line. Who else would put their career on the line to stand up for something? He's not standing up for himself. He's standing up for people who don't have a voice in our culture. So people go, oh, he made millions of dollars and the country took care of him. He should shut up. He's not speaking up for himself. In fact, he's willing to risk losing all that stuff that he's gotten, that he's earned in this country to help other people. So again, there's lots of people who are spending overtime trying to not understand this issue, like Mike Ditka, the president, the vice president, and just about everybody on the right. And lots of people on the left, too, getting it wrong. So I'm going to throw it over to my panel. Did you know that, A? And B, what do you think of it?
I think Colin is amazing. I'm really impressed. And who would get a letter like that and say, and not think, oh, this person is kind of, frightening, right-wing nut. Instead, to say, yeah, I'd like to talk to this guy. That's so impressive.
That's a real patriot, right?
Yeah.
That's a guy who has an idea of what he was fighting for, or why what his service meant. His service meant a service to the Constitution, not to the president, not to a piece of cloth, but to the idea of the Constitution, which is all of the United States is. The United States is just an idea. Right. And so go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say that I did not know that story, and I thought, genuflection. I'm a Catholic. I grew up Catholic. It'd be like the Pope saying, here's the encyclical, you no longer genuflect in front of the crucifix, you must now stand at attention and salute. It's actually a very respectful gesture in a way, and so I'm also a Cleveland Browns fan, so why the Browns did not sign Colin Kaepernick is that's really really what hurts me. Forget all this police brutality.
Yeah.
So he's got a better rating. His quarterback rating, Colin Kaepernick, is better than 16 starters currently in the NFL.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So obviously, why do you think that the Cleveland didn't sign him?
Because it's too. They don't want the baggage. They
Right.
think it's too much baggage, and they would rather go 0-5, which is what they are right now.
So I would say that their owner, I don't know, I'm just going to guess their owner is white.
Yeah, Jimmy Haslam.
Oh, there you go. So they have a
Yeah.
white owner who would rather.
But the coach is African American, and it's the coach who has a lot of influence in that too.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. He just wanted.
And the coach doesn't want the distraction.
I guess so. That's what they say.
Well,
the
in
distraction.
Go
I'm
ahead.
surprised they haven't gotten rid of the word owner.
Ha!
Well, that's a very good point, Laura, because the whole Trump fire these people, that is such a plantation mentality. It is such a disrespect for the people who are making you your money, and to say you're fired. And I mean, if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about Trump or even Jerry Jones, and it's just a plantation mentality.
I own you now. Mow my lawn.
Yeah, I stand up when I tell you to stand up. By the way, they're only standing up for money. The NFL isn't patriotic. The NFL's taking money from the military to make their players stand, because they used to not stand. They used to stay in the locker room until the national anthem was over, but nobody's joining the military anymore because people are starting to see through it, and they realize it's just bullshit wars for corporate power. And so they started to pay money to the NFL to have pretend patriot. That's not, when you pay someone to stand, that's not patriotism. That's a cash transaction. So that's phony patriotism. By the way, where do you think the NFL gets the money from? They get it from the military. Where does the military get the money from? From us. So what we're basically doing is fucking ourselves in the ass. We are giving money to the military to give it to the NFL to manipulate us, to do propaganda on ourselves. So we continue to fight in these bullshit, phony wars, which are all bullshit. They're all for corporate power, and they're all for the petrodollar. That is it. And we are now funding propaganda to get our own children to keep going in service of that military-industrial complex, which is disgusting. And Colin Kaepernick standing up is one of the few decent things that has ever come out of the fucking NFL. And I'm not watching the NFL anymore, because if you're watching the NFL, you are now enjoying watching owners and the plantation workers make money for each other. That's all that is. That is a racist system. And so now if you want to watch a bunch of white guys employ black people and shit on them, that's great. Because they're not hiring Colin Kaepernick. He's a much better quarterback than the people who are playing, and he's not being hired. Why is he not being hired? Because all the owners are white. That's why. And all these owners who give lip service to their players, go hire Colin Kaepernick. I don't need you to lock arms, bullshitter. I need you to go hire Colin Kaepernick.
Jimmy, I don't think you should really sugarcoat it. I just want you to say what you feel.
Why can't he just get to it?
Yeah,
Jim is so he holds
beating
everything
around
back.
the bush. He's just yeah.
Well, that's it. If those NFL owners had if they had any courage, if they had as much courage as Colin Kaepernick has in his little finger, they would be able to hire him, because it would in fact, they would become a better football team, and maybe more people would start watching again. Because I don't know if you know, Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears, I wanted to watch. I did not watch. I'm not watching, but it was the lowest rated of all football games so far on Monday night. It was down 17%. And why do you think that is? Well, some of it is because of CTE. People don't want to watch because of CTE. I don't care about CTE. I watch boxing. I like MMA. And if grown-ups want to take money to bash their heads in, I'm all for it. That's up to you. I don't like racism. Okay, so that's why I stopped watching. And so maybe if somebody had enough balls to hire Colin Kaepernick, people would start watching the NFL, and then everybody actually would make more money. But they're not. They're pandering to the racist base. They're afraid the white racist won't watch, because the overwhelming majority of people who watch NFL is white. And they're older, in fact. Did you know that? Yes. So that's what's happening with the NFL. It's all about money. It's not about patriotism. Just like everything else, what appears to be the truth is the exact opposite. God did not create man in his own likeness and image. Man created a God in his own likeness and image. Kneeling down is not disrespectful to the flag. Kneeling down during the national anthem is the most patriotic thing you could fucking do.
You know, Jim, I was thinking, another analogy, I guess, would be, when gladiators were slaves, and and they brought people in to watch them, tear each other apart.
I did not know gladiators were slaves.
Well, for the most part, weren't they? I mean,
Yeah, I
the
think
Romans,
so,
when they had
Yeah.
their slaves
Russell Crowe got
attack
paid
each
a lot
other.
of money, but everybody else,
And he deserved it.
He was like the Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, because they're
of the
still
gladiators.
exactly. I mean, they're in an arena, and they're killing themselves for the
For our entertainment,
and for our entertainment.
Now, listen, I played football for 10 years, from 7th grade through college, so I have an affection for the game. What does make me uncomfortable is what you were talking about, and it's this conflation of military glory with football. And it's kind of what makes football sort of the 20th, 21st century game in America, why it kind of took over for baseball, because baseball sort of has this 19th century ethos. And football is really post-war America at its military height. And what bothers me about the national anthem, just as a song, it's about a battle, and the flying over the jets over the stadium, and they could solve this problem by not playing the fucking national anthem before the games too, and you wouldn't have an issue. How about maybe you think about that? But this whole idea of what you brought up, which is this connection between military glory and the NFL and football and this macho manliness, makes me very uncomfortable, even though I played the game.
So they've conflated. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, no, I was just saying we should take out the word God and just have money, bless America.
Yes.
That's also a problem, right?
God's on the money.
Yeah.
God is on the money. In God we trust is right on there.
You're right.
So now you said they don't, it's just maybe they should stop playing the anthem. Bob Costas made the point that they don't play the anthem before a movie. When you go see Saving Private Ryan, they don't go, everybody stand, we're going to play the movie. We're going to play right? They don't why don't they do it then? Right. So they don't do it at other things. The only reason they do it at the NFL is they're being paid to do it now, right? So, and by the way, we've conflated the military with patriotism. We've conflated the anthem and the flag with the military. As Bob Costas pointed out, there's lots of people who are patriots. You know what? Dissidents are patriots. Martin Luther King was a patriot, okay? Rosa Parks was a patriot. Right? You know who else Bob Costas says is a patriot? Social workers are patriots. Firemen are patriots. And he says every time he goes to a Yankees game in the 7th inning, they play God Bless America, and they come out and they salute a military person. And he says, I have no problem saluting a military person, but they're not the only patriots in the... And why don't they bring out a social worker during the 7th inning?
If you want equal right,
why don't they bring out a teacher?
Right.
He says, teachers are patriots. They're help the backbone of ours. Why don't they bring them out? Let's honor them. Why do we only equate the military with the national anthem and the flag? And it's because they're being paid to do so. Go ahead.
Well, it's also because there's a big guilt factor there. We honor these veterans
because we don't take care of them.
Because we don't take care of them.
Right.
And so we get a crowd of 30,000 people. I go to Dodger Stadium, and I think it's great that somebody gets that attention and gets honored. But when 1% of the population is actually in the military, it's the way the rest of us can sort of assuage our guilt.
And teachers aren't bringing us oil, by the way. They're not making it any easier for us to acquire oil and ways to get it and just to use it. And
By the way, I play the national anthem before I eat, anytime before I eat. Yes.
Do you take a knee?
Do you pray?
No.
Does your family? Do you pray?
No.
He prays if his wife cooked.
Okay.
Come on, that's an old joke.
You know what I like to do, and just to be annoying. If a lot of my friends are Jewish, and my dad was half. I like to say I'm half, the lower half, and that right before I went to a Seder or whatever, and I like to do this and put my hands out to make everyone uncomfortable. Like I go like this and put my hands out. Jesus. And then they kind of reach for my hand because they think, and I said, I'm kidding. God, we killed. All right. Anyway.
All right. Well, now you know. So the next time you see a loudmouth draft dodger wagging his finger at Colin Kaepernick or anybody else who's taking a knee, you know that person is a hypocritical, full of shit moron. Because guess who gave him the idea to take a knee? It was a Green Beret soldier. Portland, Oregon, the Jimmy Dore Show is coming to the Alberta Rose Theater November 12th. And we're going to Burbank, California, November 6th. And the Hollywood Improv on October 16th. There's a link for tickets right down there. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for all links for all shows.